She's one of South Australia's heroes, one of Australia's heroes. She really is, and she's got an amazing story to tell us. First of all, about her son, Sam. It makes me cry every time I talk about his name, but mention his name. I'm sure it makes her cry. But anyway, I'd like to introduce you all to Nat Cook to talk about the Sammy D Foundation. Thank you very much.
I'll just move from the land of hobbits. Okay, thank you. Slight adjustment. Heidi, thank you for your very kind introduction, and thank you everybody, including President, for allowing me to come into your club and present my story, which, as I say to everyone, doesn't sit well with me to be called a hero, but we're extremely proud of what we do, and we're very glad to be able to make a difference in our community. I do have a presentation to go through. I will talk to some of the slides that are up there, but most of the time I'll just talk to you and share with you a little of what actually makes me tick, and in fact makes us tick as a family and as a community that have experienced something which we just don't want any other families to go through. I'll tell you a story that really could take an hour, but I'll give you the brief version. Our son Sam was very special to us, and he will remain very special to us forever. He was a very, very gifted, very clever young man who he was driven to succeed and not tread on people's heads as he moved. He didn't want to destroy other people's lives as he succeeded in his own life. He was determined and wouldn't listen sometimes. We knew he was very clever. He was very quick. He possibly wouldn't have done well with the tower building competition that we were talking about just before, Pat, around the science competition. He wouldn't have had the patience, I'm afraid, to sit down and make a 1 metre tower out of paper and straws. But what he would have done was cheered someone else on to do that, and he was very much a supporter of the underdog. Sam loved his sport. He loved what it meant to be part of a team. He loved what it meant to be part of a community. And unfortunately, on the background of perhaps another group of young people who didn't have that kind of respect and support for one reason or another, lost his life in a one-punch incident in the year 2008. He played a great game of football for South Adelaide and went out with his friends and went to a party with 100 other young people, 100 young people who were going there for a good time and for a night full of happy memories and great experiences and friendship. Very similar to what most of us have been to, along with friends who didn't expect that they'd have to, to remember the colour of jeans that people were wearing and the colour of shirts that people were wearing and what their hair looked like so that they could give evidence in court 12 months later. So Sam, on a night of celebration where his under-18s team had finally knocked North Adelaide off their perch. South Adelaide has never really done very well in the juniors, I'd have to say. He was very happy that night. We take some comfort knowing that he was very happy that night and he had a great night with his friends. Somebody chose to cause some trouble in the backyard of a private party where only friends were invited and enemies shouldn't have been. Drinking way too much alcohol, so much alcohol that they couldn't control their behaviour. And unfortunately, my son fell victim to that. Moving forward, we have spent a lot of time with Sam's friends trying to make a difference in the community.
Moments apart. There's excitement in the air. A party's been planned. The invitation list is long, but that's cool. Girls put on their makeup and dress to impress. The mood is set with music, lights and laughter. And the kids, they start to come. How polite they are. What manners, so confident amongst their peers. Shaking hands, hugging. Hey, how's it going? A genuine pleasure to catch up with their mates, and an opportunity to make new ones. It's May and an autumn chill bites the air. Gathering around open fires, young people warm themselves. The smell of burning logs lingering, and a buzz of teenage voices, muttering and laughing and shouting, merging together against a backdrop of dance music. The atmosphere's electric. So much love, so much respect. Awesome. But then, unfamiliar guests, wearing black, so confident where they're not welcome. Hey, we've come to collect some girls. They mingle. They have attitude. They begin to show off. They think they're tough, belittling others. The mood changes. Time for them to leave. Without warning, a tide of teenagers come through the house, spilling onto the street, pushing, shoving, running, shouting, against a backdrop of threatening voices, loud, aggressive, accusing. Suddenly, silence. Sam lays still. Get up, Sam, come on. Come on, Sam, his friends encourage. Sam doesn't move. On the cold, unforgiving pavement, he's still, motionless. Slowly, realization and panic. Sam is injured. Like a war zone, young men step up to help. Split-second decisions. They try everything. Until the ambulance arrives and the carousel of life slows down. Everyone moves back, like a slow-motion picture, as the paramedics begin their battle to save a life, a beloved son, grandson, brother and friend. So distressing, friends hug, they shout, has anyone phoned his mum and dad? He's the best. No! Their words echo in the stillness of this dark autumn night. Feelings of desolation, hopelessness, searing heartfelt pain like the hot blade of a dagger twisting and turning. What happens now? It's so final. There's no turning back the clocks. Life, death, only moments apart.
And they're poignant words from a mother who allowed her children to host a party and trusted the community to look after them, but unfortunately they were let down. I think following this, we were very concerned about Sam's friends and how angry they were at what had happened to their mate. But they were also just so caring and so supportive, and we knew very, very quickly that we needed to tap into that care and emotion and really support them, first through the early stages, but then also as we journeyed together towards an outcome where we didn't see other families that would be worried about what might happen to their young sons or daughters that go out to the city at night or go to other people's houses or go to clubs. So we hear frequently about things that happen out in the community, and we tried to unpack how we might actually get to the bottom of stopping this. So we started ourselves as a harm prevention charity and then got full endorsement as a public benevolent institution, which is a lot of gobbledygook and bureaucratic nonsense if you don't understand the tide that's against you in forming a charitable institution, but we're extremely proud of what we've done. We unpacked what happened to Sam and dug really deep into how people become so angry in life that they could actually hit somebody so hard that they could take their life. It was just foreign to us. We looked at what sort of a person that was that did that and what sort of things can be put in place really early in life to be able to stop that. And what we knew was that one of the things was to change behaviours, and that had to be done very, very young. And it's not just about working with children, it's about working in families. And we found that the story we told was one that was very engaging and was believable And we've repeated, myself or my husband mostly, to now over 40,000 young people in South Australia. And some of those young people have seen it multiple times, and unfortunately a few of them have heard it multiple times in like the one location, and that's a youth training centre, because they've done something 4 years ago that they regret and they're still there. But when we go there, they ask for us to come back, and they ask to hear it again, because they know that if they can embed this in them and this understanding of impact and consequences, that they will have a chance at life. We do our presentations in schools as well, community groups, lots of organisations with families or without them. And we link that to mentoring, which is where I met Heidi, going back now about 4 years, I think. Changing behaviour is not just about a fleeting visit, it's not just about telling the story, it's about actually understanding the story of the person you're talking to. And my story comes from an area of being loved and nurtured and cared for in a family, but not feeling like I fit in. You know, I just always felt very different, and it took me until I was 28 years old to find out that I was actually adopted, and that my battle through my teenage years with my parents was just something that I would never understand until I was able to remedy that. So young people often don't live in their own families or with their own relatives for good reason, because they can't be looked after properly. But it's not simply a matter of rescuing them and putting with a family that has money and resources. It's about also them providing them with skills. So there's a whole range of work that you can do, and mentoring is an amazing way to do that. So we now mentor lots of people, lots of young people in different programs, and we're getting some great success. Partywise was the last program we started, and that's about working with families to make a safer environment to have other young people in your home. You saw some of the stats that I put up there very early. They're disturbing stats around the effects of misuse of alcohol, but we're not anti-alcohol, we're not prohibition lefties or righties or whichever way you want to be. We feel very strongly that, again, it's about using things appropriately and in a moderate fashion, but young people need the education and the knowledge to be able to do this. We currently have a very frequently shown campaign on television, which you may have seen on Channel 7, supported by John Riddell, and I'll just play you now the message that Channel 7 is helping us to spread.
Youth violence doesn't discriminate. Sam Davis could have been your mate, brother or son. One punch and one idiot was all it took. A split-second decision leaving a lifetime of impact. Do your bit and support the Sammy D Foundation to educate and protect young people before another family is left to pick up the pieces.
Opportunities come around very infrequently to get great exposure like that, and Channel 7's providing us with an enormous amount, and we're so grateful for that. They're a great team. Quickly, some of the results we're getting, actually supporting and changing lives in the community, which starts with sharing our story. And I'm not going to read the numbers, but I want you to watch the colours as they change before and after they see what we do. So before we talk to people, have you ever tried to stop a friend from punching anyone? You can see the colours there. There's about 60% that say, you know, that they have actually tried to stop a fight. After we've spoken to young people or worked with young people, you can see that that significantly increases. We do have a massive impact. And again, before listening to our story, would you consider that your punch actually affects more than the person you hit? Because many times a young man might cock his wrist, or a woman, whoever it is that's going to hit somebody, they don't think beyond the person that they're trying to hit, because at that one point of time, they've actually got themselves to such a point that they hate that person so badly that all they want to do is hit them. But we say to them, please consider that you're actually hitting their mother or their child or their grandmother. Put the other person there. Do you really want to hit more than that one person? And we certainly do get that message across quite significantly. It's a very powerful message for young people. We know that we can change their attitudes, and we know that given the opportunity and the access, we will change the world. You have to believe. You have to believe in the cause, and you have to believe in the message, and our message is strong. it's not just us. We need to work with other people. We need to work with organisations such as Rotary. We need to work with schools, with the education department, with government, with corporate, and with the general community. It's a shared obligation. It takes a village to raise a child, and never is it more true than today when part of that village lets the children down so badly. We've developed an amazing program which we've started to roll out. We've been doing it for 3 years now at Parafield Gardens High School, where they have around, I'll get the number wrong, I think it's about 42 different countries represented at their school. And we went to them at a time where they were at a crossroad, where they were receiving a whole range of students from new backgrounds that they weren't familiar with. But we've been working with them using hip-hop dance as a common language. And what they've developed out of that is a whole subject where they get SACE points and leadership skills that are just incredible. And we've been invited next year to actually do this program at Brighton High School, which comes on the background of a young man losing his life a year and a half ago now in a shooting incident. But also there's a significant connection with that high school with our son's death as well. So it's a very powerful and very welcomed move for us to move to that school. Adolescence is such a tough time. Don't underestimate how difficult it is. The best, most well-rounded young person from the best and most well-rounded supportive family will fall off the perch in adolescence if you don't support them. The Sammy D Foundation, we do a lot of mentoring, and some of the most effective and the best outcomes are with young people who are in trouble at the age of 12 through to 14. Again, there's a lot of writing, but some of the key things that we know is if we can change attitudes very early, we can stop the bully from bullying, and we can stop the victim from being bullied by making them stronger. And then if you give them these skills armed with that knowledge around drugs and alcohol as well, once they do start experimenting with drugs and alcohol later in life, they have much better ability to shut off those behaviours, and they're less likely to offend, but also less likely to become victims. So, in closing, because I'm probably going to get the duck otherwise. I think Heidi's been waiting to give me the duck for a long time. She knows I'm a bit awkward with that sort of stuff. Have you got the duck? Where is it? No, don't do the duck. I want to thank you for listening to me. Thank you for letting me share my story. Thank you very much for in advance for any support that you may be able to offer, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Has anybody got any questions or comments they'd like to make? Okay, thank you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so what you're talking about is the late night code of practice and the rules that have come in the last 12 months. I think October 1 last year, so we're probably up for review. What has been seen is around about a 30% reduction, I believe, in the presentations at the Royal Adelaide Hospital. And there is a reduced number of crimes being, implemented, I guess you'd say, committed in and around the entertainment precincts. The Sammy D Foundation received some funding as well at the same time, and as did a whole range of other support services. So there's a lot happening, as well as the changes in service of alcohol times and the other rules around food and drink marshals, etc. So there's a whole range of things that have happened. So I don't think in isolation it's only that. I'm not sure that the evidence long term says that actually moving that to any earlier in the night is going to make any difference. I've read the Newcastle models and a couple of others from overseas. What also has happened in
King's Cross is that there has been definitely a clean-up happen over there, and their time is a lot earlier as well. But in other parts of the city, there's been some increased violence, and the actual broad data statewide doesn't seem to have dropped. So while the one area that has got some increased marshalling or increased rules happening seems to be well controlled, I don't believe the statewide data has actually come through to show a big drop in broad crime. So I'd be interested to see that before I made any specific comment about that. Again, it's like shutting the gate after the horse has bolted. And what I do say, yes, broadly we need to have very good rules and practices in place, but my son died at a private party. You know, a lot of the deaths that happen due to assault are happening in private residences. Something like 75% of alcohol is drunk away from entertainment precincts. What are we going to do? Shut the city? You know, I don't think we would come out and broadly support that happening much earlier at night.
Thank you. Yep. Laurie?
Yeah. What our standpoint is that alcohol is a major factor in affecting people's ability to control themselves. But totally, I can almost remember the night, and my training is as a registered nurse in emergency services. So before I lost my son and ventured off on this crusade, if you want to call it that, I worked in emergency services, and I can almost remember the day that amphetamines came out on the market because of the way the presentations to hospital changed. I totally agree. It's a much bigger problem. But it also, while we educate about alcohol, we do educate as well about drugs at the same time. The foundation does a lot of alcohol and drug education. It is both. It's a combination. Totally, you're right.
One more question, thank you.
I think that yeah, correct, thanks for your question. I think that some of these games and shows that are on TV give people a very false level of security about what they can do to themselves or each other and not cause harm, so I agree. But that is a problem for parents. It is a problem for what you let your children watch. You as parents, or we as parents, you as grandparents, you need to be strong in what you allow your children to watch, I think. I think it's, you know, it's supply and demand. It's like any business. If someone's going to buy it, someone's going to make it. So it's like anything. You stop allowing people to watch it and they're not going to make it. I think there was like this equal time of hands up. Are you going to let him have a question here?
Yes, sure. Tony Robins. You sure? All right. Anybody else? Barbara. Yep.
And I think a lot of that, thanks for that, I think a lot of that comes as well from working with families and building a lot more strength in communication in families. And it's about people who do that kind of work and role in the community actually providing people with some strategies around how to manage teenagers and those questions. There is always going to be some people who don't get the messages though, isn't there? So it does make it very difficult. From our point of view, we also have a foster child, and we know the damage that can be done very early in life. But if you indulge me for 20 seconds, what I can tell you is that he's never lived in a home longer than a month before he lived with us, since living with his parents. So he's now lived with us for just over 2 years, and just over 2 years ago he scored less than the 5th percentile in numeracy and literacy, and that's in the NAPLAN testing. So he was struggling severely. He rang the department one night and reported us for feeding him meat and vegetables 3 days in a row, because I gave him the phone number to do so, and they really enjoyed the phone call. But 2 years later, with much consistency and very firm no's with a hug, he now scores between 40 and 60% on NAPLAN. He has been significantly challenged with lots of drug and alcohol exposure at a very young age. And I don't think there is a magic solution for all children, but I do know that it's not easy, and would encourage any of you who have someone in the family that could actually take on a young teenager in their home to do so, because it's absolutely worth it. And it's one of the biggest ways to change their life, is with firm no's, but a lot of love and much consistency and meat and vegetables. And if I don't plug our events, David's going to kick me under the table. So just let me tell you that we are always out begging for money, and we'll sing, dance or do anything that you like, or you might like to pay us to not do that. But we have got a golf day coming up on October the 24th, which is held in the beautiful southern regions in Thaxted Park Golf Course, which is beautiful. And we also have a gala dinner being held right here in the McGarry room on November the 8th. And if you would like to support it at all, please come and see us, because we have some brochures. And thank you again for your time.
On behalf of the Rotary Club of Adelaide, NAT, we'd like to present you with a book, Humanity in Motion, which is a Rotary publication. And thank you very much once again.